Happy Tuesday, everyone. It is time for the Gundam Roundtable. How we doing all out there? Of course.
Good.
I'm pretty
Doing
good.
well.
Perfect.
Pretty.
Guys, got any mischief this week?
Not much.
Define
No.
mischief.
I mean, the only thing I did was burn a tree, but out of that, nothing much.
Agent, whatever you do, yes, that would be mischief.
Really? So if I just eat a meal, that's mischief. That's how that works with you.
Mischievously ate a
For
meal.
Christ's sakes, I burned the tree, slowly destroying the ozone layer here. Burn the tree, slowly killing the planet. That's mischief, if you ask me.
Planet would be fine.
Yeah, it's a good start.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey, welcome back. Just in time. We just started.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I totally wasn't even thinking. I'm like, oh, right. Chris stepped away. I totally planned this out.
Nice. There you go.
Sure you did.
Well,
Sure you
well,
did.
now you know where you stand on the totem pole.
I always knew.
Come on, back me up, chat. Macklin, I totally planned this.
I like what she says. How about them Gundams?
Mm-hmm. Big robots. Who
Robots.
doesn't love a big robot? Now then, I can't talk. Yeah, no, of course, yes, we've
My
been.
sudden appearance has taken away your ability to comprehend things.
Yeah, I have this all under control. I assure you.
Sure you
Did I
do.
lie?
Sure you do. I'm just gonna be around sitting with the 911 number ready just in case.
Come on, it's not like I decided to suddenly start juggling chainsaws. Juggling. Yes.
I will pay to see that.
Hell, I could even get the circus music going. Just get the chainsaw.
So tonight's episode.
I totally had this planned.
No, you didn't.
Look,
Let's just go.
guys, we have a Polly's Minion and
Hey,
Truck
what
Dog.
is Minion?
Welcome. So, yes, we should probably get back to that episode. Or back.
Yep,
We should get to
let's-
it.
Get into the episode. So this brings us straight off the heels of Amuro abandoning the White Base and basically going AWOL with the Gundam. The title of this is, as you can see, Zeon's Secret Mine. The episode opens following Kaisilia Zabi's battleship Guajin as it departs from the moon city of Granada. She and the ship on their way to visit Makuve and his mining operation on Earth. Amuro has hidden the Gundam for the night and taken refuge in the ruins of a small abandoned desert town. As he sits eating in front of his camp stove, he hears the sound of a low aircraft approaching. Startled, he picks up his gun and races to the doorway to see a mobile armor, the Odzom, with Makuve and Kaisilia at the helm. Amuro watches it until it passes out of sight.
So, immediately we have the new floating space onion.
That's accurate.
Yeah, that does look like an onion.
No, actually, it looks like to me one of the slimes from Dragon Warrior. Just a purple
Yeah,
one.
too.
Oh yeah, that decided to grow legs.
It's just basically a flying saucer to me with legs.
Space Onion gets my vote.
Yes.
Yeah, but when the Gundam jumps onto it, it turns out to be a little more flatter than it actually looks. In fact, actually, in one of the mangas that I have, they actually literally turned it into a flying saucer. They removed the legs.
No, is it me or does Cassia look like she's trying to cosplay for Cobra?
Yes.
Seriously, I am shocked that aliens didn't show up in this yet.
I'll back up. Yep.
But
So we have
this is
Kaisilia who cuts at a great figure.
This is the first time that we're actually seeing the first mobile armor.
Yes, that's true. what's
maybe I'm
explicitly defined as a mobile armor. Yeah.
really. Oh, okay.
Because you could argue that some of the other ground vehicles meet the size requirement to be a mobile armor, but I don't know that there's really a delineation between what constitutes a mobile armor versus a regular ground vehicle.
What was the name
Yeah.
of the big dumb ship they had? It was like Fat Joe or something last week.
Fat Uncle.
A fat uncle.
Yeah. Yes.
Fat
And-
uncle.
I had to
Is it big
rewind.
enough?
Like, did I just hear that right? Fat uncle.
Yes, you did.
It's like, why?
I don't know.
Then of course Zeon has to have more like sinister looking ships.
It looks like
it
an
looks
insect.
like it's judging you.
I was going to say we go from space onion to space mosquito.
Yeah.
But this is exactly what I expect out of Zeon Engineering. How can we make it look completely evil and stupid at the same time?
Talent.
So, where do we think that this is at so far? I mean, because it looks like we might be in like Saudi Arabia.
Turkey. It kind
They
of looked
said,
like Istanbul.
they said Central
Well,
Asia.
At
So-
some point, I think I heard Frau call the place Sudan. So yeah.
They said
Hmm.
Central Asia, so it's in one of the Stan countries.
Okay, I'd
What
like to
would,
say
what would be present day Stan?
I'd like to say I stand corrected. Macklin makes a good point. It looks like it knows it cheated on my diet today. It doesn't look evil. Just it's judging you. Arabian Nights. There you go. I had to add the proper. I had to read that proper.
If you say so. But yeah, this is clearly somewhere in what we would consider the Middle East, which could be so far east as like India, depending on what part of India you're in.
Well,
Great
like I said,
camouflage job there.
Well, I mean, like I said, they refer to this. They didn't refer to this as the Indian subcontinent. They said in the show they actually say Central Asia. So, like I said, it would be one of the Stan countries.
Real quick. Feliciano and Jace have popped into the chat. So, hello there.
Hail, Jace.
Hey there.
OMG.
Hey, Jace.
So hidden.
I'm really impressed with the camouflage job, especially with the small cloth on one of the points on the helmet. Let's just let's leave the one thing you will notice uncovered. Put a little cloth on it. They'll never notice.
Right, you essentially
Yeah,
just
they'll
planted
never
a-
see it coming.
especially just planted a flag on it.
So, Ironcaster, I'm posting in our group chat on Discord the picture.
I mean, it would have been
of
smarter to just dug a hole and make the Gundam put its head there.
the
Once-
the Adzum in the Viz graphic novel.
All right, let me. All right. Oh, no, shoot. I'm hitting too many buttons.
Yes, you are.
Too many buttons.
At least I didn't hit the big red.
Nice.
Hilarious.
You know that one. All right, just to pull this up.
So it doesn't look like it got rid of the legs entirely. It looks like it just relocated them.
Yeah, so they fold up into the body.
Yeah, it has gone from looking as like a space onion to more like an upside down diamond.
Yeah, flying saucer.
It really looks more like
They-
a UFO.
It's still got a point to it though.
Yeah, it just looks more like those stereotypical UFOs you see about there.
Exactly.
One
That's-
stuff.
I mean, in another picture, that's because this is kind of more of a on the ground looking up view. In another picture where it kind of shows more of a at level, it does look more like a saucer shape.
It's a top.
Yeah, I can see that.
And in fact, actually, so in the graphic novel, they take that whole conflict that Amuro has from this episode, and they move it further into during the Battle of Odessa Day. So this was a part of the defense of the Odessa mines,
which
Okay.
is fairly relevant to what's going on today with today's episode.
Yeah, it's just later on in the events of the story. But in the movie, this never actually happens. The Adzam does not make an appearance whatsoever.
Oh shoot, it's not. This is slightly annoying. I have to move something around. All right, let's try this again. And yes, Macklin's right. This ship is also judging you. Whereas this Gundam is down for its nap.
We're continuing.
Maybe.
Let's see. We were with the Gundam taking a nap.
Yes. So he just
Again, it
watched.
would have been much. I mean, it would have been much stealthier if he just dug a hole and put his head there, ostrich style.
Right. So we had just gotten to the point where he watched the Adzam fly by.
Oh, yep. He was eating and crying. Yes, that's where we were.
Okay. Meanwhile, Whitebase sits at the edge of another town. The crew discusses what they'll do with Amuro should he ever come back. Kai offhandedly remarks that deserters usually get the death sentence, which upsets Fraubo. She accuses Kai of being a liar, but Bright says that it's true. He would in fact face that kind of punishment. Sayla states that they'd execute Amuro if they had to, and Frau can't believe what she's hearing, snapping at everyone. Mirai and Ryu offer some form of consolation, but begrudgingly admit that Amuro's actions have been pretty selfish up to that point. The next morning, Fraubo sets off in a small jeep to begin search for Amuro. She soon finds a large set of footprints in the sand, which lead her to the small town that Amuro is using for his hideout. Hearing her approach, Amuro pulls out his gun and startles her as she finds him. As the two walk to the Gundam, Frau tries to convince Amuro to come back to the White Base, but accidentally lets slip that the punishment for desertion is death. Amuro is convinced that all the crew really cares about is the Gundam, and disgusted,
Very good punishment.
hops inside and walks off, causing Frau to follow in the jeep.
So yeah, there was quite a bit up to this point. I mean, we've got them now starting to talk about getting fed up with Amuro's emotional outburst and refusal to follow commands, which, to be fair, it has been a long time coming.
I mean, he has been under quite a bit. I mean, he's done a lot. And for a kid, it's pretty impressive. So, everyone's got their breaking point. He just reached his.
Well, I mean, we've seen that a few times now with Amuro. And it's kind of sad because it's like he doesn't really get that. He's not going to get a break, and he's just going to have to keep getting thrown into the grinder here until they come out the other end.
Yeah, it's just really something like the boys in the middle of the war. People are counting on him to keep them alive. I mean, this is very selfish of the guy.
I mean, how old is Amuro during this time?
16?
16. So he'd be
16.
about 16 by now.
I mean, you kind of think back when you were 16 years old, your maturity level. I mean, if you had to be forced into this over and over and over, that's a lot of a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah, but look, a 16-year-old kid, I was a little douche, but still I knew the concepts of things around me. I needed to behave in a certain way.
He is a 16-year-old kid who has the responsibility of a 20-something-year-old man placed upon him.
Probably 30.
In the 20s.
Well, with someone who's barely older than he is in charge of him as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm personally 16 years old. I would have abused the crap out of that power. I really would. I mean, I'd
Well, I
do that
mean-
now, but
Well, I mean, Amuro is doing that right here, where he is thinking to himself that I'm the only hope for the whole crew. I'm the one who pilots Gundam. I'm the one that takes care of the Gundam. How dare they take it away from me? This is mine, me. And he goes running off like a little child instead of doing the responsible thing, which is, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, Bright, in the last battle. I will do better next time, and I will follow orders as you want.
Right, that was going to be my comment. Is he has this complete lack of self-awareness, especially when he's in the previous episodes was accusing Bright of not understanding tactics and not understanding how to maneuver his people, and then he just makes catastrophic mistakes and refuses to own up to it.
Personally, I think he needs a bit more motivation, and there's really just one or two things of motivation I can think of.
Wow.
yeah, I'm seeing him cry and run. I've seen him cry and run, and all I can hear in my head is Zap Brannigan, like, "Oh, I caught you crying again, like a woman."
Yeah, he does look kind of like Zap Brannigan at a certain distance.
But yeah, I mean, Amuro would really. This is around the time that Amuro will really start to grow and develop and actually mature into an actual man. This is the arc that shows Amuro at his lowest point, and when you reach your lowest point, the only place to go is up from this point on.
Yes.
It's like as far as many of the other series go, it's like they want to make you not like Amuro, and I'd say as far as many of the series go, this is the worst Amuro gets, but this is by no means the worst any Gundam protagonist gets.
I
Agree.
mean, every show where you have a Gundam, where you have the main character who is a young adult who has responsibilities above his age placed upon him, there is always the arc where he has to make a choice whether he will be a child or will he be a man. And this is Amuro's arc. Will he be a child or will he be a man and man up to his responsibilities as the Gundam pilot?
Yep.
Okay, are we good?
I think so.
All right. Back on White Base, Kai, Hayato, and Ryu are busy disassembling, cleaning, and reassembling their pistols. Kai's in the middle of complaining, but Hayato says that they're not moving until Frau gets back. Kai wonders if they couldn't just tell her where they were moving to, and is informed that although Central Asia is technically a neutral area, it's still crawling with Zeon, and wouldn't be safe for a Federation soldier. Never mind a girl like Frau.
Wow, Central Asia is neutral ground without violence.
Well, no one ever said without violence. Well, not without violence per se, but
Is it a demilitarized zone?
Well, later on in the show, they mentioned that there are countries in Central Asia, one of which is, I guess, the fictional country of Sudan, not to be related to the African country Sudan, which have declared neutrality during the war. So, I mean, I guess it's a member state of the Federation that says, we don't want to be a part of the war, so please leave us alone. Much like how Side 6, which is one of those colonies, has declared neutrality.
Right, so they wind up just becoming roads at that point because they're not going to stop anyone from traveling through them.
In a
lest
sense,
they
yes.
become involved in the war.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to
So Frau forgets to wear her seatbelt.
Shame on her. One of the things
She's
I've
distracted.
noticed is that if you go back to where you're seeing Ryu and the gang all cleaning the guns, they're not those fancy pistols that we've seen before. They're old-fashioned.
It's not old-fashioned. It's a revolver,
Oh, yeah.
which technically is older technology, but
Yes.
If it kills, it works.
some people swear by wheel guns.
All people fear the sharp, pointy stick smeared with poop.
Oh, geez.
Anyway,
Personally, I prefer blades, but teach their own.
To each their own.
Oh, hey. Well, I hope you catch up, Subhuman. We're definitely glad to keep talking about it, and hope to entertain you.
This will be here for when you come back, when you get the chance to come to it.
That too.
all right. In the meantime, Frau continues to follow Gundam across the desert. They soon find themselves a large Zeon mining base. In one of the base's observation towers stand Makuve and Caecilia, who are discussing the resources obtained through the base. Frau warns Amuro to contact the White Base, but because they can't use the radio, Amuro has to tell her to head back in the Jeep while he continues his reconnaissance. On the White Base, Mirai and the others continue to wait for Frau's return. Some of the crew below deck wonder if Amuro has defected to the enemy, since he'll be treated as a hero for turning over the Gundam. Amuro continues to spy on the base, and comes to the conclusion that it's the mine that General Revel wanted to attack on Odessa Day. Amuro looks over the base's armaments, which are sparse, and decides that he can attack the base with just the Gundam. He figures that if he's able to destroy the mine, the Federation army won't have to mobilize to attack it, and then Bright and Mirai won't bother him anymore. Figuring this, Amuro begins his attack.
Very, very, very reckless.
I mean, in Amuro's defense, it is some good forward thinking on his part, but the problem is he's ultimately only seeing part of the picture.
He is a soldier on the front lines, yes, seeing part of the picture. No, he's not a commander. He's not a part of the intelligence community. He didn't know that it's a little too small to be the main mining operation of the Zeon occupation forces.
I mean, at one point, I think they, Makuve mentions they only managed to get a few grams of whatever space titanium metal it was they needed.
Yeah, something like that. And which Caecilia says, well, that's good. I don't care about that much. All I care about is just taking this all out of the hands of the Federation and denying it from them.
Right. If my enemy can't benefit from it, then neither can I. Or if I can't benefit, the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they're very much aware that Operation Odessa Day is coming. So I mean, they just are trying to get as much as they can out of these mines, even from the little ones, as they can before the big operation starts.
And I just make sure I don't forget about it.
Nice done.
And we're back from the break.
Nice.
That's right. Be glad I don't make doing two of those back-to-back standard practice.
I mean, they do that in the shows, so
we need to top them. We need to add a third. I'm not gonna do that. I would certainly never add that. No. We got to mix it up a little bit.
Nice.
Okay. I might be having a little too much fun with all the buttons behind here.
Yes, you are.
Yes,
Macklin's like wondering what in the world that is, and that's basically a half kind of in a lot of Japanese anime. They often have a halfway point little cut scene. I guess to kind of give for commercial breaks.
Don't let her fool you. She knows her anime.
Yeah. Well, I don't know them, so.
Okay. There's a proper one.
That's what sounded okay.
Her next comment.
I mean, that's what it is. That's the sound that they make.
Yes. They do have improvements later on in other series.
All right,
so should we get back to it?
That's what I was going to ask. Kycelia figures this would be an opportune time to test the Odzom's abilities, as well as get a good look at the Federation's new mobile suit. Amuro continues to attack the base and destroy its laser turrets. The Odzom soon rises from the ground and launches a small capsule on the Gundam, which Amuro immediately shoots down. This causes a golden powder to cover the Gundam. The Odzom then issues a small conical device which launches wires around the Gundam, each charged with electrical current. Gundam is required to utilize almost all of its energy to keep the cockpit cool, preventing it from moving. Meanwhile, Fraubo has finally managed to reach White Base and tells the crew about the mining operation. They check their map and note that the location of the particular mine that she mentioned doesn't exactly match up with the coordinates given by General Rebel. However, they decide to move forward and check it out anyway.
Yeah, the actual mines for Makuve's base is actually stationed in modern-day Ukraine, not the Central Asia.
So I just to stop on one particular screenshot here. I like the way the head is drawn here.
It's a little off, but it's better than what we've seen before.
Yeah, it's better than some of the.
I think the body, for the most part, looks the best, minus the shield could be a little longer, and they could make a couple changes to the head. But for the most part, it's better than what was it? One in the first couple episodes.
Like that?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Who will win, the Adzam or the Gundam?
Well, I mean, we know the answer to that, obviously, but
I don't know. Which one is the show named after?
It would be a very short show if the Gundam died all of a sudden. But no. And then we see the beam javelin again.
Everyone's favorite weapon.
That gets like 2 uses.
right, basically, it's one of those. It's a niche thing. It's again something they made just to sell toys. Almost guaranteed.
Like the Gundam hammer.
No, what are you talking about? The Gundam hammer is a perfectly viable weapon.
Everyone's other favorite weapon.
Or as it's also known as the hyper hammer.
There's no way it would be hyper. That much inertia, it would just take forever to get moving.
Well, I mean, also in some variations, there's jets on the base of the hammer to give further acceleration.
Yeah. That's a weird design. Gotta love Japan.
The hammer or the Adzam?
Yes.
Which, yeah. I mean, the
Yes.
Adzam kind of does make sense. It's a saucer-shaped vehicle with legs.
Now, I mean, I'm looking at it. It's a quadcopter, basically, with some jets.
Yeah, basically, in a sense.
They were ahead of us on the drone technology.
Yes, they were.
They were ahead of us on a lot of things.
Though, I mean, they couldn't really control the drones for very long because as soon as it went beyond a certain range and into highly dense Minosky areas, the drone would die. Or they would, I guess, not die, but lose signal and it would go crashing into the ground.
I mean, if this thing moves like a drone, it can spin like a drone. I mean, the gun's on top. It gives you a great range of weaponry to shoot at whatever's up there. I mean, the design's kind of goofy, but the gun vectors, it's pretty impressive.
I mean, looking at it now, I am seeing the actual little helicopter, like 2 of them on each of the legs. I hadn't realized what those were before.
Yeah, no, I think this is actually a very efficient design because it's got, as Agent was pointing out, it's got vectored guns both on top and on the bottom, and it's got vectored jets on all 4 legs and a quadcopter design. This is actually a very efficient design.
In the alternative version that I showed you guys earlier, the guns are very much like that, but they're quad guns and they're able to rotate on a ball. And it doesn't have the helicopter mechanics, but instead it's kind of like this. Oh God, how is it referred? It basically just produces a force from this outer edge. The outer edges of the saucer kind of has this produces a force that basically gives it lift.
No, so it's basically a hovercraft.
Yes, in a sense, yes.
Yeah, this whole thing is it's a big hovering area denial weapon.
Yes.
With the rounded hull, wouldn't that help protect it from certain forms of radar, especially if you're in a terrain that has a lot of hills?
Well, I mean, at this point with the advent of mobile suits, radar is pointless.
Well, it's with the advent of the Minovsky particle more so
yes.
than the mobile suits.
So, I mean, having radar absorbing material would be kind of a second thought thing. But it definitely would, a curved hull would definitely make certain projectiles harder to trying to think of how to say this. Yes, a little bit.
It kind of reminds me of a samurai helmet.
It would kind of reflect some of that. It would kind of deflect some of that force from the projectile weapon.
You know, overall, it's not a bad design.
No.
Agreed.
I mean, if it's just see over aesthetics, they nailed it.
Mm-hmm. One of the problems though is that you have to get the top guns. You don't look like they can maneuver as well as the bottom guns, and also the main weapon for the mobile armor is the drone and the bag of powder, which that's a flaw a little bit. You need those two to cooperate with each other in order for it to be an effective weapon. And if you can't get them both done it kind of makes that component useless.
Agreed.
Like someone shoots the drone before it's able to extend its cables into the ground.
And correct me if I'm wrong, too. Doesn't he essentially just wait it out?
Yeah, I mean, the Gundam's power systems was basically almost drained, and if another attack from that drone, would have hit him before he was able to destroy the drone, he probably would have been dead, or the Gundam would have been dead, and it would probably ended up in enemy hands.
And I think this was just, if I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember the episode. This was just a miscalculation on their part, basing their, calibration of this weapon on a Zaku's output.
I don't remember hearing that, but it could be very much so. They did mention that Cassilia did mention that the Gundam is outperforming what Garma predicted.
Yeah. Okay. Something like that. Yeah. They just kind of underestimated what it was capable of.
Yes.
It's kind of like Amuro trying to program all the information into the Gundam and finding out that Ramarao is a little too quick for it.
Exactly.
Both sides are making the same mistake.
All right.
Oh, lack of intelligence.
Continue on.
Yep.
Back at the mine, Amuro is still fighting the Adzam. Hoping to finish off the Gundam, Mikuve lowers the current, which permits Amuro to destroy the conical device and free himself. Amuro jumps on top of the Adzam using the beam javelin, and Mikuve's attempts to shake him off fail. Not wanting the Federation to get a hold of the base's secrets, Kycelia orders the entire mine destroyed. The Adzam manages to escape after Mikuve triggers an explosion, which destroys the base. Thinking that he's destroyed the base that the Federation wanted to attack on Odessa Day, Amuro gets out of the Gundam and explores the ruins. He descends into the lower level of a half-destroyed building, where he discovers that this is just one of many Zeon bases. Climbing out of the rubble, Amuro comes across a wounded Zeon soldier. He retrieves some water from a nearby pipe to give him, and then makes him feel comfortable, handing him a flare to use to attract help. As he leaves, the soldier gets Amuro's attention and tells him that if he is the pilot of the mobile suit, then he doesn't have enough lives to go easy on the enemy. As the episode closes... Sorry, it's the last paragraph.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
As the episode closes, White Base finally arrives and surveys the smoldering wreckage of the base. The crew is shocked and appalled at the amount of damage done by the Gundam's attack. Mirai remarks that this mining base wasn't even the Zeon's main base, which causes Ryu to remark that, because of this, the enemy will be even more entrenched when the time comes to attack. Frau is simply dismayed that Amuro even attacked it at all, and flees from the bridge. She jumps into her jeep and speeds away from White Base, tears in her eyes.
Determined to have a nice, long conversation with Amuro about being childish.
Does so herself.
Mm-hmm.
It's typical.
Well, humans very much can be hypocritical.
I'd probably say that this episode probably happens a couple days after the last episode, kind of time frame, because there's really not that long. I think we're probably in late October, early December. So I mean, there's not much longer, or early October, or late October, early November. So there's really not that much longer to the war.
That Zeon soldier made an excellent point, and I'm glad they put it in there. Is you got to figure that the White Base is low on resources, low on manpower. It's like any other. I mean, basically, the White Base is like a guerrilla fighting group at this point, and it's limited resources. You cannot go soft; you will die. Zeon has, and out here in the desert with the mines and everything, Zeon has the luxury of going a little easy if they choose to. But White Base is like the Fremen in Dune. It's like you got extremely harsh circumstances, limited power against an overwhelming mechanized force. You cannot go be soft. You'll die.
Well, I mean, the whole point of the White Base being where it is to kind of harass the edges of the Zeon operations so as to kind of direct resources and waste Zeon resources. But along with that is not just that soldier saying don't be so kind to us. It's more so the idea of don't be so kind to us because we may not be that kind to you.
Yeah, it's war. Rules go out the window when you get into war. I mean, you got like Geneva Convention. Screw that. This is war. Break
Wait,
their will,
you really think
break their
people
backs.
follow the Geneva Convention in war?
Well, like some sides think,
who's gonna prove
this
that?
rule, like a mutual agreed to rules. Nah, that's all right. I'm going to break you in half. There are no rules.
I mean, they mentioned earlier in the last episode, they mentioned the Antarctic Treaty, which was a treaty that was set up between the Zeons and the Federation during the first months of the war to basically dictate no nuclear weapons, no gas weapons, know how to properly treat POWs, and so on and so forth. Well, I mean, you do have to admit that Kazun was being an improper guest when he decided to try and break out and flee.
I mean, don't they say the first duty of any prisoner of war should be to escape?
If he can do it safely. He wasn't doing it safely. He was doing it in the middle of a battle.
Perfect time to do it. They're too busy preoccupied fighting.
In which case, he puts his life in his own hands, and so no one's blamed but himself for his stupidity.
Realistically, he would have got away had he not stopped to try to make a phone call.
Probably.
Good point.
Yeah, at least you know how to properly open up a locked door.
Just bang it open.
Yeah, just get a rocket. You'll get it open. Don't worry about
Point
the
blank.
other side.
Because what is
I'm
blowback?
looking at it with the rocket. I'm thinking, I'm like, this is not a good idea.
No, they both would have been killed.
Yeah. A rocket in an enclosed space and not going to end very well.
Not only would they have been killed, the damage to the ship probably would have been far greater than it was shown.
No, just some scorch marks, some scuffs. That'd be perfectly fine.
It's fine.
Just a little bit of elbow grease.
Yeah, it's like the old G1 Megatron blast. You get shot with a giant fusion cannon, just a little bit of smoke, you're good.
But I mean,
well, we'll buff that out. We'll be fine.
I have to seriously wonder, like, how is Amuro's energy consumption with the Gundam now? Because I mean, he's almost, the batteries on the Gundam are almost drained now. So I mean, either that Minosky generator inside the Gundam's chest is going to have to take some downtime to charge back up, or he's gonna have to find some way to charge the Gundam. And also, he's going to have to hide from the White Base because they're going to be really pissed at him.
Yeah. The longer you wait, the worse it's going to get.
Yep.
Well, that with the fact that he's also have to charge all of his weapons.
And also on top, well, I mean, the weapons on the Gundam comes from the Minosky generator that's charging the whole Gundam.
That's what I mean. He's got to charge everything.
Yes.
Amuro's running out of ammo and shields to throw.
Yes. And also we have the situation of what is the White Base going to do with Amuro when they catch him, because they're going to eventually catch him. And there's talks of what they should do. Should they execute him like normal military doctrine says? A deserter, unless you're a U.S. soldier, and if you're captured the enemy, then you have a whole bunch of enemy soldiers traded for you, and you end up becoming such an annoying pest. Sorry, political matter. But I mean, what are they going to do with Amuro? Are they going to execute him like military doctrine says they should, a soldier that deserts his post, or are they going to be lenient on him and give him and keep him alive? Because they're not, as Ryu says, they're not a part of the normal military structure. They're their own thing.
Yeah, they've been saying that.
Yeah, they're like their own. They are their own tribe. They make the rules.
Which is something that it was stated earlier in the show with when Matilda and Bright were talking with each other. Matilda saying, "There's a reason why you guys have not been arrested and charged with stealing military secrets yet, and that's because Rebel is protecting you guys, and also you are a good tool to distract the Zeons."
I kind of look at it like the people on White Base are like a conquered nation by a greater one, kind of like the old Roman Empire. You can believe what you want, do as you want, as long as what you do doesn't interfere with our greater plan.
Just do what you want, just don't get caught.
I mean, killing Amuro, honestly, would not be in the best interest. And like, you guys have pointed out, they're not military. They're not part of the military structure. I mean, they work within it. They work to protect it, but they're not part of it. They're basically kind of like slaves. Do as you want, take care of the business as you want. I mean, the thing is like either do what we say or you're court-martial. That's slavery.
I wouldn't say that
Because
they
you don't have any
are
choices.
slaves per se. They're just an element of the military that works outside the military structure because they're permitted to.
Well, do they get paid?
Oh yes, they still get they're still getting paid and everything. I mean, heck,
So it's not slavery then.
They're given enlisted.
slaves.
They're given enlisted ranks. I mean, Bright is an ensign. Amuro and many other crew members are junior grade officers. So I mean,
There's some kind of weird mix between a privateer and a conscript.
yeah, I mean that would probably be best to describe what the white base is that they're privateers, basically, in a sense.
Yeah, they just have official military
that would be a perfect description. Because they're able to keep some of what they win. Yeah, privateers, that's actually a perfect description of them.
Well, the other problem they have is when they get the Gundam back, who's going to pilot it? Sayla?
I mean,
Sayla should be fine.
That's something very funny in this episode is that Sayla is one of the voices of, well, Amuro's disobeying the rules, so he should be punished. It's like, wait a minute. Wasn't like a week or a couple days ago, weren't you doing that yourself?
Yeah,
she
that
has
was my
simulator
turn.
practice. She's been in the simulator. She'll be fine.
But I mean, either her or Ryu would probably be the best options.
And seeing as how Ryu is the only one who hasn't really stepped out of line and done anything completely idiotic, I would put him in priority.
Yeah. Especially because he is probably a more senior soldier than Amuro and the majority of the crew. The only person that outranks Ryu is Bright.
We'll just chop Bright's hand off and have that pilot it. That's the only thing they need.
No,
Bright's just gonna go and slap everyone.
Bright's hand doesn't even need to be chopped off. It'll telepathically command the Gundam.
I kind of wonder if Bright was in some kind of mobile suit out there next to Amuro, and Amuro screwed up. Would he backhand the Gundam?
Oh, definitely.
I hope so.
It's like, imagine the look on the enemy's face, like, what the hell?
Well, I mean, so there is on YouTube, there is a simulator of the inside of what would be probably considered the Gundam cockpit. And basically it kind of lists, the guy who created the simulator would list out everything, every button, every switch. He would go over how the Gundam's computer works, so how movements and stuff like that are basically a computerized motion. So for example, the Gundam reaching down to lay out its hand to pick up someone, that is a computerized function. Like the computer tells the Gundam to do that. It's not the pilot, but the computer. All the pilot has to do is like press a couple buttons, and it would do it.
The term you're looking for is macro. It's macro command.
Thank you. And it's kind of how the cockpit for the Gundam, how mobile suits go before they go for the 360-degree monitor, which is in later Gundam series.
I think a 360-degree monitor would be a little bit distracting.
Well, I mean, it's to just give the mobile suit pilot better awareness of everything around him.
In later, later, I'll say seasons, even though they're separate series, and then in alternate universe, in the Iron-Blooded Orphans, spatial awareness is one of the key components to being a proper pilot, especially when you're actually in space. The more of your surroundings and the farther out you can be aware, the more effective you are as a pilot.
and we see it with Gundam Alex. We see it with the Zeta Gundam. So yes, this is the simulated cockpit of the Gundam. And also the cockpit for the core fighter. So the guy who did this amazing work and everything.
Oh yeah, piece of cake. You can learn that in a heartbeat.
And each of the foot pedals down there, each of them gives you a different function. It's not one is the one that makes you go forward, I think. Each of the I can't think. I want to say joysticks, but they're not joysticks.
The throttles.
The handles.
Thank you. The handles. Each of them function differently as well. Yeah, it's very complex, and you need to be. If they actually made this, someone would need to go through a lot of training in order to properly work every single aspect.
They're probably way beyond Air Force training.
Oh, this is Space Force training, is what this is,
and a lot of academic training.
Well, I mean, the mobile suits is going to be something very interesting. It's
Just give you a little.
But your overall synopsis is pretty telling in that in order to pilot something like this, a lot of the functions would have to be simplified and macroed such that, you know, in order to achieve a certain maneuver, you have to input only a couple of motions.
Yeah.
While I think about it, I will go ahead and link that video in the chat.
Yeah, a lot of motions and actions that the Gundam would take would have to be controlled by the computer, so that it makes the pilot's job easier to fight, to concentrate on fighting and stuff like that.
And then the most obviously, well, I say it obviously, but the most intuitive one would be from G Gundam, which is basically just the cockpit reads your bodily motions, and you're not.
It's
you're
the
not inputting
Kinect.
Yeah, basically.
It's the Xbox Kinect.
You have you have
yeah.
You have a suit that basically wraps around your body and basically reads your motions and transmits it to the computer of the Gundam, which then replicates those motions.
I was going to say it's more like the cockpit of a Jaeger from Pacific Rim, but that's just because I love Pacific Rim.
The tight latex
first one was
suit
real good.
that Domoon has no problem with putting on, but Rain, she sounds like she's having an orgasm every time she puts it on.
I mean, hey, whatever floats her boat, I guess.
I mean, I think like the first time that she actually puts it on, she's like, "Oh, this is so tight."
Family-friendly show, guys.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just repeating just saying what her lines say. Take them as you wish.
Well, I mean, if he's talking about which begins and produces a family, wouldn't that be considered family friendly?
No.
Anyway,
just saying.
Shall we wrap up?
Let's just go. Let's just leave this point. Let's just go back.
Yes, Hester, we were talking about Gundam. We're getting back to it. So Amuro's still on the lam. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we could probably wrap things up. I guess we can go around, give the episode a review. Fenrir, you want to start us off today?
If he's
I'm
there.
sorry, what?
You want to go ahead and give it a review?
Well, I liked how the episode went, like the development and showing of the characters. I just don't enjoy watching Amuro's behavior in this world and how he does. But I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10.
I would ask how many bright slaps out of 5 do you give it?
9.
Gets 5 slaps out of 5.
5 slaps out of 5. Okay, 4.5. It needs to be.
All right, Chris.
Um,
You can either give it the actual like stars or slaps.
trying to think of how to. So I mean, this episode is a decent episode, whatever. This is a decent episode, though it's a bit of a filler, and that's why it was cut out for when they made the movie trilogy. If it wasn't there, showing how childish Amuro was and how foolish he is, it really doesn't. So I'm gonna probably give it a. It's a fun episode. It shows some fun, fun mobile armor and everything. I would give it a 3.8 out of 5.
All right. What about you, Agent?
Well, the show, I mean, you got Amuro on the run and him basically taking the Gundam and doing something incredibly. I really can't call it stupid because he did think he was doing the right thing
Foolish.
in the heat of the moment. But that's the problem. He's thinking emotionally. He's not thinking logically. I would probably say I would give this 4 slaps out of 5 for the fact that he made that mistake. And I do want to see how the Zeon are going to react to it. Because basically they just help fortify everything else for the Zeon in the area. Because he wanted to go out there and beat his chest. And yeah, he's still on the lam. And now Frau's out. So it's like, this is kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, his whole action to do what he did was that he thought if he proved that he could take on the Zeons by himself and end the Odessa operation before the Federation attacked, then that shows that he is the right pilot for the Gundam. But I mean, we find out he kind of jumped the gun.
I mean, people do make mistakes, granted, but this is a costly one.
Yep, and Amuro needs to start seeing the ramifications of his actions, of the choices he makes. How about you, Brightest?
I'm gonna give this 7.5. It's an overall solid episode. I'm kind of glad we're wrapping up some of the character development that has so far hindered us from moving on. I would really like to see a lot of these characters come into the next stage of their development. I think that's where we're gonna get to. So 7.5 from me.
Okay. As for myself, I largely gonna have to agree. I think it is a bit filler. It is annoying seeing Amuro seemingly regress. It feels like to where he's just kind of going back to his more his me phase, and it was good for a while there. He was and you do see a bit of that still, that forward thinking where he is trying to think ahead, for the benefit of others, but he's still going about it in a selfish way. I think it was great to see Makuve finally, because you get to
Makuve
see
in
more.
action.
Yes, yeah, to see Makuve around. Meme. So I think I have to give it about a 7. I think it is an okay episode, and I mean, you said it yourself. It was ultimately filler. Wasn't in the movie that it could. it was an episode that could probably be cut, but it's an okay episode overall.
I mean, it's definitely an improvement over Icelina's episode.
I'm just thinking that it's certainly no Icelina. You know, the agent's favorite character.
So I mean,
Oh my God.
it's definitely an above average episode, but it's not a necessary one.
So before we kind of wrap up, I wanted to bring something up. Fenrir, you've not seen the series. You've not seen the series before, and I thought it would be interesting to kind of get your predictions where you think the series is going to go from here.
Well, at this point, it's kind of hard to figure out. For my personal idea, I'm thinking this is going to end up as some huge battle between Amuro and Char. Some kind of planetary-like explosion. Some kind of, and for some reason, I just can't stop thinking that aliens are going to show up. I just feel that the area is giving me that vibe. You just imagine giant robots against alien ships.
That doesn't happen until Gundam 00.
Yep. Yeah. Sadly, you're not going to get anything in the way of aliens in Universal Century. So, unfortunately, it's not happening here.
What you want, Fenrir, is Macross.
Yes.
I haven't seen any of that
Absolutely.
yet.
Funimation is actually releasing a special. I saw them advertised on Facebook. They're releasing a special collector's edition for Macross or
Fantastic.
Robotech.
Which I think is like now available. It's like coming out at the end of this month.
Let me see here if I can find it.
Just in time. I'm almost through the entire Robotech series.
Yep, now available.
Sweet.
Sold.
Let's see here.
So I will link that for you guys in behind the scenes
There it
because
is.
No.
Sorry.
no, you're good.
So this is from GameSpot, but it still shows what you're getting. So this
Nice. I
nice,
like
cool,
that
fancy
box.
box. You're
I
gonna
like
have
the aging they did on the corners.
85 episodes of Robotech, 7 hours of special features, 4 Robotech patches, Roy Fokker figure, VF1 transformable figure. So here's the movies or the TV show as well as the specials. Here is their covers.
Oh, I love
Looks really great.
that aging is working for me.
Yes, I like that too. Here are the patches that you'll get with it. Here is the action figure that comes with it, the Roy Fokker.
Say that name again.
Yeah, whatever.
Fokker.
With a helmet.
Roy Fokker.
Stupid helmet.
He comes with the helmet.
No,
and
leave the helmet off.
Here is the fighter, the transformable fighter.
Oh God, that's a lot of excessive weathering.
That there alone is worth that there.
So
I love the Veritech.
it is. Let's see here. How much is it? $250.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter. Take my money.
So it is $250.
And these are Blu-rays?
Yes.
Okay.
Go back down to the picture of the box. Did it say Blu-ray and DVD?
No, they just show Blu-ray.
Oh.
So these are the discs.
Okay, it might have been Blu-ray and digital.
Blu-ray, Blu-rays,
Oh.
Blu-rays.
Does it say what size that figure is? It's got to be somewhere along the size of a Blu-ray case, right?
Let's see here.
Hey, look, Punk Waddle waddled in.
How much? Okay.
Mm.
Is it there? 1/100th scale.
Okay, so that's kind of small. I have a 1/100th scale model kit. And that's probably like 4 or 5 inches long.
Oh, that'll be going on my table at work.
So
Yeah, I'm glad to see you were able to make it before the show ended today.
So I may save this for
Christmas.
something like that.
Screw that. Get it now.
I'm gonna wait till my next payday before I even consider that.
I have other things.
Yeah, that's okay. It's
Unfortunately-
Robotech. There's nothing to consider.
I have oil. I had to change the oil in my vehicle as well as rotate my tires and also get my tires realigned.
Time to start getting ready for all the holiday stuff.
Oh joy!
Anyway, so
Screw
who's
it,
got
I'm
something
getting-
to promote?
All right. Yeah, we can kind of go around the round horn. So coming up next week on Monday, the last couple Mondays I've been starting to do a little bit of gaming streams, and next week is October. Well, I want to do something a little bit different for October this year. So I want to start doing a little bit of movie coverage for the channel here. And well, I was kind of thinking about a theme this year, and well, there's a few characters I want to cover. So for the first movie this year, I want to talk about some actors who this year I want to talk about some actors who are well known for horror, but I think modern audiences don't necessarily realize that they were known for this. So for the first movie this year, we're going with something from Peter Cushing. You know, today he's best remembered for his role as Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars, where he stood side by side with Darth Vader, the monster of the Empire.
He just didn't stand side by side with him. He was in charge.
But in his heyday, he was best known for making the monsters. That's why we're covering The Curse of Frankenstein.
Ooh,
I'm looking forward to the argument as to why he did it.
Actually, you'd
I'm
probably
pretty sure
agree
he's
with
got
me.
a good one.
You actually, when Ironcaster and I were watching it with Jace the other day, Ironcaster says that sounds very much like something that that agent would say.
I believe my words were. I believe the phrase I said was, "Dear God, this is the agent."
Well, I am going to watch it, and then, like I said, I'm looking forward to see what he has to say. I'll watch that tomorrow, and we'll see if you're right. Most likely, yeah, I'll probably agree with him.
Of course.
I've argued for worse.
He's gonna start sizing up all his coworkers. Like, that's a pretty good arm you have there. You don't need it.
My coworkers, no.
I mean, one of the things is that
Most are genetic garbage.
And he's just pull out the knife.
In the original novel by Mary Shelley. Is that it? Yeah, Mary Shelley. Frankenstein was a very sympathetic man. He was a broken man who wanted to achieve greatness, fame, and progress science, inadvertently creating a monster. In this one, in the Hammer Horror's Curse of Frankenstein, he's a villain. They turned him into a villain. He's completely disregarding of other people and their opinions. He is willing to cross lines in science and ethics to achieve fame and fortune.
Remember, folks,
I like
subverting tropes isn't anything new.
I like this guy already.
Yeah. What about you, Brightus? What do you have coming up?
So tonight, and I will actually share the screen for this, I'm going to be doing a shortened build stream where we are going to start building this 1/72nd scale Liger Zero Jaeger from Kotobukiya. The model itself is pretty nice.
Wow.
It's not as big as I imagined, given the size of the box.
Zoids.
But I did about 45 minutes worth of the build, and I'm going to spend a good portion of the stream talking about some models that I just had shipped out today based around a video game that I loved growing up, and that is Xenogears. So this is the series that I just ordered that came out in July. And this is like series 1 of, I forget how many series they're going to make, but the second volume of this series has my favorite favorite gear from the game in it, and that is Sybzen. But this will be a nice kit to pick, or set of kits to pick up. It retails for like $85. I think I paid like 70 something for it plus shipping. So that'll be exciting to get in.
Does that say Zoids?
Yep, that's what he's building tonight.
Yeah, I remember the Zoids from when I was a kid.
I want to be honest, I have no idea what this is.
Huh.
Oh, geez.
I mean, I've heard about it. I've seen some images about it. Never actually got into it.
I remember watching 2 Zoid series that were on Toonami back in the 90s and 2000s.
Yep, same.
Like Chaotic Century and Century Zero or whatever the other one is called.
Yeah, those ones.
I still laugh a little bit at the good judge beating out the bad judge. For those of you who don't know, in one of the versions of the franchise, one of the shows of the franchise, there's a competition between various teams for a grand prize, and they would have a robotic judge that would satellite and observe the competition to make sure that there's no rules attacking the cockpit of the Zoid. There is a shadowy organization within. There's a shadowy organization that's trying to cheat, so they create their own judges to attack, to kind of subvert the good judges, the official judges. And so, what happened is that one of the bad judges' capsule landed on top of the good judge, and the good judge climbed out of it and attacked and beat up the bad judge. Very funny.
So outside of my build stream tonight, I've got booked on Wednesday and Saturday, and Pickus' actual podcast on Thursday night on Supreme Heretics channel. Tune in for that.
Right. Agent? Anything coming up?
Well, I was supposed to get chapter of the Henchman's Handbook out last week. I'm going to try to get it out by Sunday. Life's kind of gotten some stuff I have to take care of. But
And by stuff I got to take care of, he means burning out of
film
building filled with puppies.
It means destroying some heroes. Someone's got to do it, and I enjoy it. But might not be much going on. But I was actually kind of thinking that I was talking to a coworker about Star Trek in the Mirror Universe, and it's like I kind of want to start a new segment called the Villain Review, just like movies and stuff like that. Just review the villain, kind of like to my own standards or to the standards of the VDM.
To see what's their level of villainy.
You can basically basically do
if
is,
we would support them or not.
I know.
What you could do is rank them out of how many hand rubs out of 10.
Yeah, but Decibel, remember, you're gonna have to review the greatest villain of them all at some point. You're gonna have to review Carol Danvers. She is the greatest villain out there.
You know what? I've had a coworker bugging me about that. No. Yeah, actually, I will. I'll have to watch the movie. But I was thinking a good one to start with would kind of like be Carnage with the movie coming out. But I kind of wanted to go through the Mirror Universe episodes of Star Trek and try to figure out which one of those would actually be a villain.
You could go.
Being that it's a.
Why don't you do an old fashioned one like Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde? Mr. Hyde is what I meant to say.
Actually, I was kind of thinking about with the Hammer films and Ironcast are talking about doing like these classic monsters. That would actually be kind of good. Like Examine Dr. Frankenstein. would I consider him a villain? Would the VDF support a man like this?
Well, I mean,
And since you guys have already given it the seal of approval,
you would have to be very specific on what kind. Because there is, like I said, there is the classic Dr. Frankenstein from the original book, as well as the Universal Monsters. Then there is the Hammer Frankenstein.
Yeah, there's the different versions of these characters.
I think it would definitely be, I would do the Hammer one. Yeah, I would do the Hammer film with Tarkin.
Yeah, the Hammer series of Frankenstein. There's
Oh.
like several different sequels.
Yeah,
I've noticed.
You're going to be in for a treat with these films, and I can't wait to get your report on those.
I really love the Hammer films. I just love the era that they mostly depict them in, which is like kind of, I don't know, around the Enlightenment, the Age of Enlightenment. So you have a lot of people dressed up from like 18th century, around 19th century dress and wear, and they are very formal, and I love the colors. I love the graininess of the picture when you watch them. So I mean, these are fun movies if you really are into that kind of thing.
You know, actually, that'd be kind of good, because if it is the Enlightenment, I'm very familiar with that era, and we're talking about like this Dr. Frankenstein talking about the ethics of doing what he's doing. I mean, when you get rid of objective morals and start in subjective, I definitely want to check out the argument, because, like, what are you going to argue against? So, yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I think I'll start with that Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, the Curse of Frankenstein. Yeah, and there is Frankenstein's mentor. His name is Paul. I don't remember his last name, but Paul. Actually, Paul is a common name that pops up in the Hammer horror movies.
Yeah, I think the Frankenstein series alone has like 3 Pauls.
No, I think there are more, like 5 or 6 of them. But Paul was in the first movie. Paul was Frankenstein's mentor from a young age. And he basically is the voice of reason, saying, you shouldn't do this. This isn't right. So on and so forth. And Frankenstein basically just ignores him through all of it until tragedy strikes.
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely watch that tomorrow. I'll have time for it. So,
well, also one of the things about these movies, and we can get into this on that stream, is these were a lot smaller budget films.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the things I think that really helped those out.
Yeah, I mean, definitely when you have a lot of the horror movie creators, when they had small budgets, they had to be very creative, which made them absolutely 10 times better in some ways than pictures that had hundreds or thousands of dollars or millions of dollars or billions of dollars, which is modern times money backing them, where today you basically have CGI in almost everything. I think CGI works best when it's in an additional enhancing aesthetic versus being the main effect.
Right. Because, for example, the Curse of Frankenstein had a budget of about a budget under $300,000, whereas other films from that year that were being made by like Hollywood, the Bridge on the River Kwai, same year, the budget $2.8 million. So we're talking like a third of the budget. No, much less than that actually.
Which movie is
like a
remembered
tenth
more?
Yeah, a tenth of the budget.
And which movie is remembered more?
And they're both kind of they're both similar films of that era. But I think probably the Hammer films at the release had the benefit of October.
And they're cult movies. The Hammer movies are cult movies. So I
Yep.
mean, they're cult classics for their own piece. And the Hammer movies were doing so good that actually Universal teamed up with Hammer to do a revamped Frankenstein series.
Well, we can save some of this discussion for for that stream Monday. Like I'd love to keep going into it and talking about it, but that's not what we're here for.
We're kind of wasting material to use.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry, guys. We'll just go over all again.
Oh yeah.
I'll just cut this section out of the stream and we'll just hit play.
I think Jace wants to be here for that discussion. So
yeah, I was reaching out to a couple people. So I'm trying to reach out and get Nick Weiser on and T-shirt Historian on for that as well.
Try seeing if you can get a hold of Geek Blend because he likes some horror movies.
Okay, yeah, I will have to reach out to him. Don't think I've spoken with him. But Chris, what do you have coming up?
Nothing much really. Thursday, Jason and I have our the Beyond show for 540 Studios, where we basically just go around and talk about various geek things, news, talk about how much Disney Star Wars sucks, stuff like that. Jace is starting to do some live stream gaming on the channel, so that happened. He did a little bit of that yesterday. There were some hiccups, some bugs that he is working with to try and improve. It's the first time, so I mean everyone has little hiccups and problems, right? And we're currently still working on trying to get the third episode for our Star Wars Tales from the Jedi Archives series program that we're kind of working on. We're just kind of some bumps and hiccups that need to be smoothed out. So, and that's basically about it.
All right. I'm looking forward to the Tales from the Jedi. So, chop, get on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's sadly, it's a lot. There's a lot of material that Disney Star Wars has thrown out in order to produce their cheap knockoffs. So,
oh, absolutely.
Don't worry, they're just dishing it back to you. You're getting nice
Good
Old
question.
Republic again.
I mean,
good question. Is any of you guys watching that Star Wars Vision stuff?
I force myself to watch it
because I'm not gonna watch it. I'm sorry, because that's just anime. That's just samurai anime with Star Wars elements. It's not Star Wars. It doesn't have the magic of. I'm sorry.
It very much the Star Wars Vision very much does not feel like Star Wars. I mean, especially because they have a droid that is able to use the Force.
From a scene I saw, they literally created a lightsaber the size of an Imperial. Oh my god!
Yeah,
didn't you have Skippy the Jedi droid?
That was non-canon.
We're not bringing that up.
We're not talking about that. That was always non-canon from the very beginning.
The size of a Star Destroyer.
I mean, they also use the holdover maneuver in the freaking.
Wow. And now we have umbrella lightsabers.
All right,
seriously,
so Fenrir,
I'm sick.
Now,
not to say
coming up on the channel.
I'm sorry,
Fenrir. What do you have coming up on the channel?
Well, at the moment, not much. I'm thinking about doing another stream going on to discussions of crap and super heroics, mainly seeing how the industry's slowly dying and going into webcomics. But I don't know who to do it with. Thinking about bothering Decibel for another round, but I'm pretty sure he's busy with other stuff.
I mean, I'm just starting to kind of get into finding some other stuff outside of the normal stuff. So I'm getting Elric. I'm picking up The Last Ronin. I was on Nick Weiser's Friday talking about that, which, by the way, good comic.
We were all there, dude. We know you were there.
Well, if there's an audience, maybe not everyone watches Nick Weiser.
Well, we are pretty much a specifically concentrated group, and a lot of the people that watch us watch each other. Because we like to promote one another all the time. So, yeah, it's not that. The chances are not that small.
You never know. But it would seem that
But yeah, Star
apparently,
Wars is dead.
Brightest jumped
Yeah.
out, but
They killed it
think
with a
it's-
lightsaber umbrella.
No, Friender, actually, I would love to do another show with you. I can't do it this Friday, but the next Friday, I tell you what, if I watch Star Wars, we can talk about that.
hey,
Well, I'm going to
to
ignore
about
Visions,
swallow
but
that
if you
crap.
want to watch it, do
So we
it.
can.
I need someone
we
to
can talk about
sacrifice
that.
itself for me. Do it. Watch it.
What?
Sacrifice
What am
yourself
I
for
about
me.
to say,
I'm not gonna see it.
Agent? What am I about to suggest? Let's play this game. Finish my stupid thought. What am
Shut
I
up.
about to suggest you watch?
Shut up!
Say
I already
it.
said I would watch a holiday special. I already said I would watch a holiday special this year. I will go through it. If I have to gnaw off my own leg to go through it,